Adapted from archaic translation by W.H.D. Rhys. JATAKA number 198. I come, my son, etc. This story the master told while living at Jetavana monastery, about a brother who was a backslider. We hear that the master asked him if he really were a backslider. And he replied, yes, he was. Being asked the reason, he replied, because my passions were aroused on seeing a woman in her finery. Then the master said, brother, there is no watching women. In days of past, watchers were placed to guard the doors, and yet they could not keep them safe. Even when you have got them, you cannot keep them. And he told an old world tale. Once upon a time, when Brahmadatta was king of Benares, the bodhisattva came into the world as a young parrot. His name was Radha, and his youngest brother was named Pottapada. While they were yet quite young, both of them were caught by a hunter and handed over to a Brahmin in Benares. The Brahmin cared for them as if they were his children. But the Brahmin's wife was a wicked woman. There was no watching her. The husband had to go away on business, and addressed his young parrots thus. Little dears, I am going away on business. Keep watch on your mother in season and out of season. Observe whether or not any man visits her. So off he went, leaving his wife in charge of the young parrots. As soon as he was gone, the woman began to do wrong. Night and day the visitors came and went, there was no end to them. Pottapada, observing this, said to Radha, our master gave this woman into our charge, and here she is doing wickedness. I will speak to her. Don't, said Radha. But the other would not listen. Mother, said he, why do you commit sin? How she longed to kill him. But making as though she would fondle him, she called him to her. Little one, you are my son. I will never do it again. Here, then, the dear. So he came out. Then she seized him crying, what? You preach to me. You don't know your measure. And she wrung his neck, and threw him into the oven. The Brahmin returned. When he had rested, he asked the bodhisattva, well, my dear, what about your mother, does she do wrong, or no? And as he asked the question, he repeated the first couplet. I come, my son, the journey done, and now I am at home again. Come tell me, is your mother true? Does she make love to other men? Radha answered, Father dear, the wise speak not of things which do not lead to blessing, whether they have happened or not. And he explained this by repeating the second couplet. For what he said he now lies dead, burnt up beneath the ashes there. It is not well the truth to tell, otherwise Pottapada's fate I share. Thus did the bodhisattva hold on to the Brahmin. And he went on, this is no place for me to live in either. Then asking the Brahmin farewell, he flew away to the woods. When the master had ended this discourse, he explained the truths, and identified the birth. At the conclusion of the truths the backsliding brother reached the fruit of the first path. Ananda was Pottapada, and I myself was Radha. Source. Adapted from archaic translation by W.H.D. Rhys. JATAKA number 199. Gahapati JATAKA. I like not this, etc. This story the master told, also about a backsliding brother, during a stay in Jetavana monastery, and in the course of his address he said, womankind can never be kept right. Somehow or other they will sin and trick their husbands. And then he told the following story. Once upon a time, in the reign of Brahmadatta, king of Benares, the bodhisattva was born in the realm of Kasi as a householder's son. And coming of age he married and settled down. Now his wife was a wicked woman, and she intrigued with the village headman. The bodhisattva got wind of it, and thought how he might put her to the test. At that time all the grain had been carried away during the rainy season, and there was a famine. But it was the time when the corn had just sprouted. And all the villagers came together, and pleaded help of their headman, saying, 2 months from now, when we have harvested the grain, we will pay you in kind. So they got an old ox from him, and ate it. One day, the headman watched his chance, and when the bodhisattva was gone abroad he visited the house. Just as the two were happy together, the bodhisattva came in by the village gate, and set his face towards home. The woman was looking towards the village gate, and saw him. "Why, who's this?" she wondered, looking at him as he stood on the threshold. "It is he." She knew him, and she told the headman. He trembled in terror. "Don't be afraid," said the woman, "I have a plan. You know we have had meat from you to eat. Make as though you were seeking the price of the meat. I will climb up into the granary, and stand at the door of it, crying, 'No rice here,' while you must stand in the middle of the room, and call out insisting, again and again, 'I have children at home. Give me the price of the meat.'" So saying, she climbed up to the granary, and sat in the door of it. The other stood in the midst of the house, and cried, "Give me the price of the meat." While she replied, sitting at the granary door, "There is no rice in the granary. I will give it when the harvest is home. Leave me now." The goodman entered the house, and saw what they were about. "This must be that wicked woman's plan," he thought, and he called to the headman. "Sir Headman, when we had some of your old ox to eat, we promised to give you rice for it in 2 months' time. Not half a month has passed. Then why do you try to make us pay now? That's not the reason you are here. You must have come for something else. I don't like your ways. That wicked and sinful woman over there knows that there is no rice in the garner, but she has climbed up, and there she sits, crying, 'No rice here.' And you cry, 'Give.' I don't like your doings, either of you." And to make his meaning clear, he uttered these lines. "I like not this, I like not that. I like not her, I say, who stands beside the granary, and cries, 'I cannot pay.' Nor you, sir. Listen now. My means and store are small. You gave me once a skinny cow, and 2 months' grace in addition. Now, before the day, you ask me to pay. I like it not at all." So saying, he seized the headman by the lock of hair on the top of his head, dragged him out into the courtyard, threw him down, and as he cried, "I'm the headman," mocked him thus, "Damages, please, for injury done to the chattels under another man's watch and ward," while he thrashed him till the man was faint. Then he took him by the neck and threw him out of the house. The wicked woman he seized by the hair of her head, pulled her away from the garner, knocked her down, and threatened her, "If you ever do this kind of thing again, I'll make you remember it." From that day forward the headman dared not even look at that house, and the woman did not dare to transgress even in thought. When this discourse was ended, the master explained the truths, at the conclusion of which the backsliding brother reached the fruit of the first path. The goodman who punished that headman was I myself. Source: adapted from archaic translation by W.H.D. Rhys. Jataka number 200. Sadhusila Jataka. One is good, etc. This story the master told while living at Jetavana monastery, about a Brahmin. This man, we are told, had 4 daughters. 4 suitors wooed them. One was fine and handsome, one was old and well advanced in years, the third a man of family, and the 4th was good. He thought to himself, when a man is settling his daughters and disposing of them, whom should he give them to? The handsome man or the oldish man, or one of the other 2, the highly born or the very virtuous man? Think as he would, he could not decide. So he thought he would tell the matter to the Supreme Buddha, who would be sure to know. And then he would give the girls to the most suitable wooer. So he had a quantity of perfumes and garlands prepared, and visited the monastery. Saluting the master, he sat on one side, and told him everything from beginning to end. Then he asked, To which of these four should I give my daughters? To this the master replied, in olden days, as now, wise men ask this question. But now that rebirth has confused your memory, you cannot remember the case. And then at his request the master told an old world tale. Once upon a time, when Brahmadatta ruled in Benares, the Bodhisattva was born as a Brahman's son. He came of age, and received his education at Taxila. Then on returning he became a famous teacher. Now there was a Brahmin who had 4 daughters. These 4 were wooed by 4 persons as told above. The Brahmin could not decide to whom to give them. I will inquire of the teacher, he thought, and then he shall have them to whom they should be given. So he came into the teacher's presence, and repeated the first couplet. One is good, and one is noble. One has beauty, one has years. Answer me this question, Brahman. Of the 4, which best appears? Hearing this, the teacher replied, even though there be beauty and the like qualities, a man is to be despised if he fail in virtue. Therefore the former is not the measure of a man. Those that I like are the virtuous. And in explanation of this matter, he repeated the second couplet. Good is beauty. To the aged show respect, for this is right. Good is noble birth. But virtue, that is my delight. When the Brahman heard this, he gave all his daughters to the virtuous wooer. The master, when this discourse was ended, explained the truths and identified the birth. At the conclusion of the truths the Brahman attained the fruit of the first path. This Brahman was the Brahman then, and the famous teacher was I myself.